Alright, I'm going to show you how to apply a detailed stencil to a three-dimensional surface. I cut my paper stencil using a stencil cutter that will show you how to use. And I'm just going to wet the surface of my cup, and I'm going to wet my stencil on the area that's going to get attached to my cup with a damp sponge. And then I'm gently going to pick it up and I'm going to lay it on top of my cup, holding it in place with my hand and gently touching it with a sponge to get it to stick. And it's folding a little bit, so I'm just going to try to carefully flatten it out. And sometimes you got to kind of fuss with it to make it stick. And I'm working my way around, making sure it's nice and stuck, and I'm going over each letter. To make sure the edges of my stencil are stuck down. You can go over it with your finger or rubber tip tool also. But the way I'm going to apply my underglaze is going to be really gentle, so hopefully it'll just fit right on the surface. So I'm going to walk over to my underglaze, which I just took some light blue underglaze and I put it right in the little cap of the underglaze container, and I have a damp sponge here. Just going to put a little bit on the sponge and I'm just going to tap it right over my stencil. If I use a brush, it's more likely that I'll get some bleeding, and I really don't want that. And I have to do 2 or 3 coats of this with the sponge because it's such a thin coating. And I did 2 coats over here. So I'm going to show you what that looks like when I remove the paper. So there's my paper resist, and I just need to go in with an X-Acto knife and remove a little bit of this schmutz that got left behind, and I'll have a nice stencil.